Welcome once again to another episode of this podcast, A New Direction. For those of you who have been following us for a while, by this point you definitely know what we are all about. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, you probably have missed a lot, but there's still room for a catch-up. You can visit our channel on YouTube to watch our previous episodes and get to understand what we are all about. But on today's episode, we have another intriguing issue up for discussion, as usual. We'll be looking at unity and how we as men can achieve unity. We also have a video which we'll be playing that would we'll look at as our discussion goes on. So as usual, discussing the issue with me I have today is Brother Kufre.
Good morning, everyone.
Sister Uti.
Good morning to you all.
I have Brother Savior.
Good morning.
We also have Sister Adugo.
Good morning.
And I myself am Brother David. But before we get into what we have for you today, it's important to reiterate what we always say as we begin our moments, that we are not a religious group, neither are we a religious organization, but we are just a collection of individuals who have been privileged to have help locate us. And if you have been following our discussions, you will come to understand that the help which we are talking about is God. Because anywhere you go around the world and you ask or you converse with people, there's always one thing we all agree on, irrespective of our religious or political differences, is the fact that help can only come from God. But on this forum, we have tried to establish the fact that the God which we all expect help from can't deliver that help to us from the sky. That's what we have always tried to emphasize on this platform, that the God whom we all expect help from would definitely be in our midst for us to get that help. Yeah. We also went as far as trying to point out things that should back up that our claim. Well, I call it a claim because those of you who are watching us are yet to experience it, so it may seem like a claim coming from us. So we try to point out certain things. For instance, we pointed out the fact that we go around looking for help from men or amongst men when we have all agreed that help can only come from God. That's because for God to deliver his help to us, it must be through a person. But in this case, it will not be through a person carrying the nature of man as each and every one of us around the world, but it will be through a person who is carrying that spirit of Christ.
Yes.
That's what marks the difference between the help, or the supposed help rather, we get from men and the help which we would eventually get from God once his presence has been established amongst us. So without further ado, we'll get into what we have for you today. But before we play the video, I would like us to briefly talk about unity. We always say on this platform that there are certain ways that the Spirit has let us understand things that mirror after his ways or his concepts. But the issue we have as men is in terms of the application. Yes. That's where we falter. So when we talk about unity, basically everybody understands what unity is because we have been led to see unity in a particular light. But if you ask me, I would simply describe unity as a wholesomeness, as a wholeness. That's how I would describe unity to be. Yes. An undivided or unbroken completeness. That's how I would describe unity to be.
Okay.
But unfortunately, if you look around the world today, it's evident that that's missing.
Yes. That's true.
you see is missing. That's undivided and total completeness is missing. And that's because, as we always say, there hasn't been God. Because you can't have unity without peace.
Yes.
And if you remember when we talked about peace as not being a product of man,
Yes.
but a product of God. When we, men, fulfill obedience to God.
Yes.
With God.
And we said the only way we can fulfill obedience with God is when God is on ground to let us know how that obedience is expected of us.
Yes.
But it's unfortunate that we think that unity can be achieved by political means, by religious means, and by whatever means.
Talks and seminars.
That's in simple terms, we think that we as men can achieve unity by summits and by deliberations and by whatever means, which is, as I said, unfortunate, because unity can be achieved by men.
Yes.
Which is what the video we'll be playing today is all about. It's trying to point out how we as men can achieve unity within ourselves. And it doesn't follow after the concept of the Spirit of God.
Yes.
Because men can't do anything to yield
The
proper
result.
solution.
Yes.
Lasting.
Let me not even say proper solution, because
Solution at all.
solution has its own distinctive
Solution is solution.
yeah, it has its
Proper.
own distinctive meaning and application. So we as men can't do anything. I would prefer solution. All we can do is derive some sort of answers and patch management to continue with our way of living.
But another falter, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
when it comes to our pursuit as men for unity, is the fact that we think we can collectively achieve unity as a community or as a country or as a continent or as a world at large. But according to what we have always said, that the concept of the Spirit is different from that of man.
Yes.
And as it concerns unity, concerns peace, like you made mention of, without unity, without peace, you can't get unity. As it concerns all the things that plague humanity that we think that we can solve by summits and talks and all sorts of things, there's one primary, will I say, objective that we don't seem to have because it is not given to us. And that is, you cannot change what is not in you to be able to change. Yes. Let me put it this way. In order to achieve unity, one must be united in himself first before a people or a nation can be united together. You understand? That is why every time we make mention of this, when we talked about peace, how we say that in order to achieve peace, we need God on ground. Because he is the, excuse me, because he is the Prince of Peace, who will be the one to bring about his peace, show us his way of life that brings about peace. And that way he's showing us is not, let me put it this way, it's not as a nation, he's showing a nation. He deals with individuals. And as it concerns unity, because when I look at how we go about unity, it's all about what we do as a community. We're all about how we can work together as a community. But first of all, if you as a person, you're not united in yourself, there is no how that the unity can spread to others. That's why we are even described in the Bible as a house that is divided. Yeah. And surely it cannot stand. You see, that is the nature of man. The nature of man is a divisive spirit. Yeah. So there is no how that a divisive spirit, by nature, can achieve unity. This is why it is impossible. No matter how we talk, no matter what we do, no matter who we appoint to lead this united front, it is always a front. It cannot really yield the result that unity is meant to achieve in us as a people.
All that can't happen outside of God.
Just
Or
like as a person first,
as
because
a person first,
if you are not achieve if you cannot achieve that state
it cannot.
as a person,
Yes.
I don't think you can. You know, it's like when we keep saying that you can't dig out what you don't have.
Yes.
So, from what you just said, you know, we've said here that the dictionary that we carry as men, just as we as a people is a house that is housing by the Spirit. What I mean is that man as a whole, we as a body, even though man is not the body. Let me use man as the body, both the male and the female.
Yes.
Is content with something. And that thing that we contain is the one driving us. That is the Spirit of the Lord. So, and it's that same Spirit that is doing everything in us.
Yes.
It's not we. It's the Spirit. The thing is that when it has to do with the God himself, he's seeing that no matter whatever thing that the Spirit is doing from you, is you that the answer will go to. That's why today when you hear somebody said, when you stole what we call stealing, you stole something and they catch you, before you know, somebody will say, "Na devil," because the devil is the spirit in you.
Yes.
So that is the state of man. When you look at the word unity, as we describe from what you are saying there now, you can see that even in the dictionary, it shows that unity is a state
Of oneness.
of agreement.
Yes.
Or oneness. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He said unity is a state of oneness or a state of agreement. So it means if I have issues, because there must be issues before agreement.
Yes.
So if I have issues with Brother David, and we need to be united, we need to agree with ourselves.
Yes.
No matter how we sit down to discuss, try to make sure we agree with ourselves, as long as inside of me, my heart has not been settled yet concerning that issue. There's no discussion that will settle it, which is what Sister Ade is saying now. You see that as man, we are not supposed to even be united with our people first.
You should be united in yourself first.
The first personality that you need to be united with is your Creator.
Yes.
When you unite with your Creator by the instruction that He gave you, that helps you broken you enough to accommodate another person.
Yes.
If you listen to everything that we have been saying here, we're not saying this, what we are saying, because of, the knowledge we have. We are saying because of the knowledge that has come from that person that we keep saying that without this person, humanity is doomed.
Yes.
You understand? So we are saying based on what comes from him. And we have seen that that thing that comes from him, he's not just a knowledge. It's a knowledge that has power. You understand? Somebody voice out something, show you the way, and you apply it. You see the change that you have been crying for just made possible.
Yes.
Easy. The same thing goes to our war right now when we say, the reason why we are here talking to the people out there is not because we have power to change things. It's because he who has the power to change things is among us.
Yes.
And there is nothing we can do that can work. Rather, turn back to this person and listen to what he needs to say to us on how we need to do, and go out there and do it and see the mystery that will be.
If you also look at what is there recorded in Genesis 11 concerning unity, because that was a kind of unity that the war was to establish.
Yes.
They go about, they were of one language, of one speech, doing things that seemingly like what God will do. So that is a kind of unity that men things that they can establish, which God is coming to destroy. Before we get into the video that is talking about unity in diversity, you see that the diversity, the way we are, we were not the one that made ourselves like that. It is the Spirit that brought us, that made us in different forms, in different, the state that we are, the culture, the beliefs, and whatever. So there's no way we can achieve, because that's way to look at unity, how we can unite, which we cannot do it on our own, without the one who established that thing, that should come to unite us, which he has programmed, that is how it has to go. So we should bring our knowledge on how we can achieve the unity that is of God, not our own. So that's the take.
If you watch and listen to everything we have been shown, and we try to put it out there, you see that the problem with we as human is not that we don't know something. In short, the problem we have is even the things we know.
Yes.
That is the problem we have.
Too
because
much of nonsense.
If you look at our world today, you see that we born into the world. We were not the one that generated ourselves. Something brought all of us here. And that thing that brought all of us expect a kind of living from us. Now, when you are now being in the world, or you are dwelling in the world, that universe, and you are not functioning according to the design of that spirit, you are not functioning according to that design, that purposeful design, you see that there is nothing you do that will work. Today we keep talking about this ownership. That ownership is the key problem of man. The key problem of man as a whole is ownership.
Yes.
That ownership is the only thing that when God comes in, the first thing he does is to remove it. Remember we talked about who a father is, or who a father is supposed to be. Because right now we have had men that we see as fathers. So those whom we see as fathers, you see, no, this is a household. And this household believes that this one is my children, is my house, is my land. So this household now, whatever thing they need, they don't have business with this one. In short, if they need to have business with this one, they need to look for money to come and get things from this one. That those systems are not the system that can profess this oneness that we look for. Yes. Because those are the things. So when you see that when God is in the midst of a people, what he does is that this way you have been living is what needs to be changed. So when you keep talking about change in the society, change in the political sector, change in everywhere, that is where the thing is. So change is not that if you were buying fuel 200 naira, so you need to buy fuel 100 naira or 50 naira. No. That is not change. Change is that if you were selling fuel as men, you are selling it, exchanging money, merchandising from one another. Now, if God comes, the change is that has been your system. No. My own system is that this is why I brought you here. I didn't bring you here so that you can come and deprive another person from this thing because of the knowledge I give to you. Because there is nobody that have knowledge that knowledge is his own. So you bring that style, that standard to show you that even though you know how to do this thing, you have been given the capacity to do this thing to cover the next person whose capacity was not given to. Yes. You see that living now will never allow you to have a bad mindset against somebody. Yes. That money, when you say money is the root of all evil, the evil we see today in our world is coming from that source. That source of ownership. That is why when you are talking about being united, you are not united with one another. The one another you need to unite with is your creator. Finish. Yes. When once that is done, I can assure you, the next person you see, you even take that person more important than you yourself. And
you see, based on something that just came to my mind when Sister Yuti made mention of that unity in the diversity that she said. You see, when you even look at the whole picture of this diversity of a thing, you will see that it is us, men, that see diversity among ourselves. Yes. Because our Creator that made us as man. And man is what he knows. He doesn't know whether you are Hausa, or you are Igbo, or you are Yoruba, or whether you are Muslim, Christian, or pagan, whether you are white, black, brown, purple, whatever difference we seem to tag ourselves. The spirit that created us does not see that. what he sees is men that he made in different shapes and sizes, but all he sees is man, you see? And he sees a world that he created. He doesn't know America. He doesn't know Nigeria. He doesn't know Zimbabwe. What he knows is a world he created and put people in it. So you see, when it comes to this unity in diversity, it comes from the ideology of men, because what we see in the different patterns of the spirit are rather division. Because in what the spirit just created, and say, because if I choose to have 2 books or 2 paintings and I decide to color one red and color one pink, but they are the same picture, does that change the fact that it's the same picture? But because you are viewing it as the different colors making it different pictures, it now makes you to tag one as something else and tag the other one as something else, that you now need to find a way to work together. You understand? Because if it's that we all, as men, when we look at one another, we don't see the differences we have. We don't see color, skin color as a difference. We don't see the way somebody talks as a difference. There is no how that when you now want to talk about unity, you are not saying, hey, how this person's culture can align with my culture. Because that is what all this unity is all about. How the Muslims can live with Christians. How the Yorubas can live with the Hausas. How the Igbos can live with the Fulanis. These are all we think about when it comes about unity. You understand? Yes. Because we are using the differences that we see as a problem that we need to find a way to walk through it. But you see, when it comes to that's why when we talk about the unity that is of God, it doesn't require you with another person to say that he wants to align the Igbos with the Hausa. No. It's for you as a whole person, whichever place you have, the world has assigned you to. It's for you as a person to be united in yourself away from that man's spirit. Because it is only when you are united in yourself, you are whole, you are one in yourself with him, that it doesn't matter who is next to you. As long as you are united in yourself, you are okay. Unity flows through you. The power of unity flows through you that keeps you at peace in yourself. Because you don't need to be at peace with somebody else in terms of how we know at peace with somebody else in order to be at peace in yourself. Because it starts with you first. It doesn't start with how you associate with somebody else. Because you can always pretend in terms of your association with someone. But once you are not okay, just like the instance you made concerning you having a problem with somebody and you want to discuss, you can always discuss and just grudgingly come to a conclusion. But inside of you, you are not satisfied with that conclusion. But for the sake of unity and peace, let us just go with that. That agreement, that contract can never stand. Because one, it is not united. It is not stable inside of you. So you see where the unity that comes from God comes to play a part. And that is where the real change, the real unity can be formed. And any form of peace can come into mankind.
So basically, all you are saying is the fact that unity can be achieved outside of God, which is what we have also tried to establish.
Yes.
So I think that we should get into the video so we can proceed from this little discussion on unity. Yeah. So hit play.
Unity is the mother's milk of political cohesion. It is the mother's milk of economic development. It is the mother's milk of spiritual liberation and mental decolonization. The question of African unity is one that has preoccupied many Africans, particularly in the post-colonial era. But it's important to appreciate that prior to the advent of colonization, there was an Africa. And that Africa did not have ironclad boundaries. But after colonization, the struggle for African unity gained new momentum
But that must be seen in the context of history. So unity in a nutshell is critical to enable Africa to realize our potential. There are those who, when they hear us talking about unity, think we are simplistic, even naive. They think we are moralizing, intellectualizing, philosophizing, romanticizing. No, we are not. And we do not talk about the unity of the grave. We are talking about a unity that is celebrated in diversity. And that is achievable and indeed desirable, because disunity is a lot more expensive. It makes Africa susceptible to manipulation. And there is no shortage of evidence to demonstrate that a disunited Africa.
We have watched this this brief part of the video, but before we get into what he has talked about briefly, we'd like to point out something, that when we are talking about unity, that we are not just restricting it to Africa, because the world is not united.
Yes.
So we are not just restricting it to Africa. Though he's talking about unity in Africa, we are also talking about how we can be united in Africa and the world at large. So
yes.
basically, we are talking about world unity, not just restricting it
To Africa.
To Africa. Yeah. So he said something. He says that unity is the only way that Africa can, how did he put it? I wrote it down. So unity is critical to actualize. That's for Africa to actualize its
real
Full
potential.
potential.
full potential. So that's why I try to point out that we are not just restricting the talk of unity to Africa. but extending it or expanding it to the world.
Because that's what unity is.
Yes. So it's not just unity for a region, but unity for the world at large. Because the world is each and every one of us.
Yes.
Yes. So it's not just the
Continent of Africa.
continent of Africa, or maybe the Europe and Africa. No, we are talking about the world as each and every individual on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Because he introduced his own idea of unity, and just as we said earlier, that's what unity is. But the difference is how we go about trying to actualize it. Yeah, because when you talk about unity in diversity, just as Sister UT pointed out and Ada pointed out, he says that we are meant to celebrate unity in diversity. And the idea of, or not, let me not even go into that one first. There was something he said first before he went into the unity of diversity, unity in diversity. He said when we talk about unity, that there are people who would see it as, or see those talking about it as being simplistic, or being or trying to moralize or show intellect and all those kind of stuff. Say that he's not just talking about how did he put it, unity of the grave. And he's saying that because we as men, having an idea of what unity is, we don't see how possible it is to achieve that kind of unity.
Yes.
It's actually a graveyard unity. If you understand it.
Yes.
It is a graveyard unity, because the picture of a graveyard unity is everybody agrees with everybody, with one another. Yeah. So that's why that talk of unity in diversity being celebrated comes in, because when you talk about unity like that, there are those who see it and they're like, it's not achievable.
How do you even achieve a unity in the graveyard. That is to say, when people are dead and are buried, they don't have any power
with
again.
themselves.
They don't have any issue. They don't have strength to go against each other.
Yes.
You understand? In that moment now, you can now see that it's like whatever thing they are discussing there, nobody's hearing it. Everybody is burying his problem inside because they can't wake up. You understand?
Yes.
But that is what it is, because you see, if you look at everything we try to bring to let our viewers understand what unity is, when you know what unity is, you will understand that what brings that power of unity cannot just be any ordinary thing.
Yes.
That's why when you are talking about the power of unity, unity has a power because it's something that is coming from God. Unity. So when you are now, somebody is telling you, this thing now you are talking, when you are talking about unity, it's like you are showing intellect, kind of knowledge. You understand? It's sure because knowing what unity is, how human working like this with differences can have that oneness.
It's unimaginable.
You understand? It's very hard. But is it really hard?
It's not.
The answer is no. What makes it hard is what we keep saying here. When you are in control of yourself, which you are not even in control,
Yes.
that is what makes things hard. A man just wake up and believe and calculate his day and know that, okay, as I'm coming out, as I'm going out, I'm going to gather this and that for myself. Finish. That is your plan. Now, when it has to do with God, which is the mystery that we keep talking about God here, that you are talking about unity in diversity. It means we as a people generated into this world, we have differences.
Yes.
We born differently.
Yes.
We come from different, that is by our own idea. We come from different states, different countries or continents. But remember, the God we are talking about now did not bring a boundary. He didn't establish those boundaries. He generated us into a world, one world. This world is not two, it's one.
Yes.
It is we now that have, divide the world. Okay, because of your language, this is your territory. You, because of your language, this is your. But we have been saying here now, those things are not coming from us. They are still the ways of the spirit.
Yes.
Because the people try to build a tower that can reach that God. So the spirit bring that confusion for all of us. Mm-hmm. Now, this is how unity can work. Because when you are now talking about how to go back to your creator and live according to your creator's way, which will establish unity, you need to understand that today we keep talking about inequality. Inequality. And when you are talking about inequality, somebody will tell you these fingers are not equal. I remember somebody told me in the car when I was going somewhere, somebody said that I should understand that these fingers are not equal. Now all fingers are not equal. You remember when once we say that, we are using it based on the system we see, the way humans we are functioning.
Yes,
some
the rich
people have
get
money,
and the poor
some
get
people
poor.
don't have money. Some people are rich, some people are poor. You understand? So the rich man will need a poor man, which is a gate man that will open gate for him. So that gate man now, the rich man will never allow the gate man to be rich because he need to have a gate man.
Yes.
You see, but if we understand that even if the gate man, in short, the gate man is even the one that is important to you.
Open.
Because without the gate man opening the gate, you cannot enter.
Yes.
You see? So when you are looking at equality from that man's standard, you see that it would never work.
Yes.
But the ways of God is always equal.
Yes.
The fingers never complain. I remember when I have issue, just small thing that took me on this one that, affect this one, this smallest one, I would never grip something well. Now I'll show you that this one has its function. Yes. And as long as this one is affected, this hand can never work well. Yes. Now, why are these fingers need to be working well for you to grip something well, to grab something well. Why? It's because they are controlled from the same nervous system.
Yes.
Now, that is the same life that we are yet to live. That's why when we talk about the life humanity are yet to experience, we keep showing that the part of God is that when we now have God with us, this God is going to set a standard of living that shows that no matter where you find yourself, that is your office. That your office doesn't make you better than the other person whose office look like it's not important. Yes. You understand? Mm-hmm. Because right now they are now controlled from that same God. You see that everybody is doing things according to the standard of and the capacity that he was given to, just to achieve that one purpose of oneness.
Yes.
But this cannot achieve if God is not there.
Yes.
Because just is a good thing you brought in this equality matter, because you see, what really prompts our fight amongst ourselves that now causes us to look for unity among ourselves is this equality of a thing. You understand? Because by the time, let me use for instance now, by the time, because I will use instance of Nigeria because that's where we are talking from.
Yeah.
By the time now the Igbos see that the Hausas, they are more privileged than them, let's say for instance, because of some of the sentiments that the Igbo has, because the president, let's say the president is an Hausa man, so he seems to favor the Hausa more than them. You see, that is a problem. So with that as a problem, they say it as inequality. And with that in place, you can never be united, Igbo and Hausa.
Yes.
But if you are living under the, if it is functioning under the atmosphere and the concept of God, if you look at what the Igbos see as the Hausa having more than them, you will see that it has nothing to do with that. Because as you look at the Hausa, the more you see them have, that is because of the place that they have been placed to work and function. You have your own place of function. You understand? And without the two of you working together, or without the two of you being together, there is an imbalance. For instance, the Hausas are known for their agricultural, so you understand, they are the ones that farm most of what the Nigerians consume. The Igbos are known for, or the West, the Eastern people, we are known for the crude oil and all those other business. So you see, without the crude oil and without the agriculture, there is no balance. So if we are saying, hey, that these people are having more agriculture than us, so we will keep our oil, let Hausa keep their oil. Will you eat oil? Will Hausa now use, because if we even look at it, say we are at advantage the Igbos, because by the time we separate ourselves from the Hausas who are having the food, and we are stuck with something that we cannot survive by, you see that there is no headway in what we see.
Most of those consciousness cannot be there, because that is why those things are consciousness. If you see now, you are saying that Hausas, they always have opportunity, they are the one that grab the place of the presidency. And because of that, it look like their people are favored. How do you see that favored? It means if they are giving minister of so, they give it to Hausa. And this Hausa person that they give the minister of so, is going to give their people more opportunity to occupy offices and make more money. You understand? That is where the problem comes from.
Yes, which is
because it's not that you are entering the office to go and do work for free.
Yes, to work on
you understand?
The people.
So it's not about the office that they enter.
It's about
the things that they are going to
be able to
grab and keep. That is the consciousness of man. Nothing else. That's why we keep saying that is the only problem that humanity has.
The ownership.
That ownership. My own land. My boundary. Why do you put boundary? Why is it a boundary? You put a boundary so that somebody doesn't cross this place that you have taken as your own to come and gather things or collect things that is your own. You see? So how would that be eliminated?
So basically what we are pointing out is that equality is not about sharing
Things equally.
equal right.
Yes.
When I'm saying equal right, that's because of what
We know as
equal. When we say equal, it means everybody has
the same
thing. No, equality is not about sharing the same rights. So I'm not going to say equality is not about sharing equal right. No, equality is not about sharing the same rights. The same rights. But equality is about everyone understanding his place of function. Because with everybody operating in this place of function, it fulfills
And
one
functioning
purpose.
according to the purpose of that.
It fulfills one purpose. It forms a synergy that fulfills one purpose.
Yeah.
That's what equality does. And and this talk of equality now came up from his talk of unity in diversity.
Yeah.
Because with the diverse nature of man and everybody being placed in his own different place of function, the unity that is supposed to come from that level of diversity, just as Brother Kufre pointed out, is if each and every one of us are operating from the same nervous system, which is God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember,
So
you said
if-
something.
Let me just get to something. So if that's because that concept wasn't introduced by men,
Yes.
that's the diverse nature of humans wasn't introduced by men.
Yes.
It was introduced by that spirit of God.
Yes. The
Or
spirit
that
of
spirit
the
of the Lord,
Lord.
rather. So his introduction of God is to apply that diversity in man the way it ought to be to achieve the
Purpose.
intended purpose.
Yes.
So if unity in diversity is meant to work, or if we want to see rather how it was
possible.
intended to work,
Okay.
we can only see or be a part of it when God is on ground. Because if everybody is meant to function in its own place, like take the engine for instance, the crankshaft has its own work. The pistons, they have their own work. We talk about if it's a diesel engine, the pumps, the injectors, they have their own
they are not the same.
function. If it's the petrol engine, the carburetors, all those filters, they have their own place of function.
Yes.
So once you take out the carburetor, you just see that the petrol engine won't even work.
No matter
So
how heavy.
it does. So everybody and everything has its own place of function. So what makes the engine work without complication is because after all the differences they might seem to have,
Yes.
once they are assembled together, they are operated from the same system, so they work in synergy and fulfill one purpose, which is the
move the
movement
car.
of the car. So what we are saying is that the only way we can achieve that is when that person whom his appearance will establish that system that we all
That
need to
assembly itself.
connect to.
Yes.
That is the assembly.
That is the only way we can achieve that.
Yes.
So we can talk and go in circles about these things, but without that personality,
Cannot be achieved.
there is no headway.
Yes.
So you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I remember when you talked about one of the moments that you talked about when we talk about love, and you were trying to show that, bring that consciousness of, the life that the Spirit gives to man. That's we as a people, that we're supposed to understand our place of function. When you say that the knowledge was given to somebody to know how to grade a road.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there's no knowledge given to somebody, there's no road.
For we to pass
So
out.
that the knowledge is given to you to grade a road does not mean that you are the owner of the road.
Yes.
You see? So if the Spirit did not give somebody knowledge to, in short, take the person down, because if you know where crude oil is buried today, you see that no man as a robot, as an empty vessel, can go down the depth of that sea to go and
Cover it.
discover oil. If that Spirit did not want to take the man down there in order to
Discover
bring out whatever proceed that is there for the use of mankind,
Yes.
You see? But you see this consciousness of, Nami go there. So Nami first discover this thing.
It's my own.
And our word now is prepare and give to this person.
That goes for
You see,
everything.
this is the problem. This is the problem. This thing that we are talking is very serious. The question we keep asking is that if anybody is out there and you see that, oh, this is a life that we need. This is a life that we are talking about. This is a life that's supposed to be. Listen, the reason why somebody carry gun to come and rob you is because you have kept something that was not meant for yourself. You see this Bible that we carry? This Bible. We keep saying that this Bible is not about Christians. It's not a book for Christians. Do you know the reason why the Spirit placed those things that say, lay not up treasures for yourselves upon the earth? He didn't say if you are a Christian. He's talking about man. That you were born into this world free. And you came, saw everything. I give you knowledge, free knowledge that you have. If we call it knowledge. That thing that I give you to know how to harness this thing that you come to see to the use of another person was given free. So why do we now sell it? That is the side that the Spirit is seeing. Mm-hmm. So when we keep saying that when the source of creation is not happy with his creatures, mm-hmm. he makes things to happen to them. He makes life unbearing for them. And we are the creatures. Everybody is complaining today. We are suffering. You see, so you talk about the knowledge that was given to a man to build a house. If there was no knowledge given to a man to know how to construct a house, nobody would live inside the house.
Yeah.
So the Spirit is giving you that knowledge has a purpose for it. Mm-hmm. But you see where we abuse purpose is because after you have built the house, you are now saying, for you to enter this house, you need to pay me. Then you born into a house, a world, and you see a land, open space. Nobody ever born. I used to ask people, have you ever seen a child that is birthed into this world?
With something, with clothes.
With pants. Not even know something, because something will be hard to carry inside the womb. Mm. Let's say he wear a pants to show that he came with something. Have you ever seen a child like that? So it means as we born into this world, naked. So we see things, we grab things, and we now say naked, we shall return.
That's
but you see, our return, we think that is in the grave. It's not in the grave. It means when that person of God is around,
yes,
everybody will go back to him and hand over.
Yes.
That is the mystery that we are yet to see. That's why I asked. Check the reason why people come to rob you. When you keep sugar or anything sweet in a place, it causes ants to gather.
So when it comes to this thing you just mentioned, it doesn't mean that the person that does that is exempted, because even when you go to rob another person, you want to own it.
No, so you can't be exempted because that's why we talked about a house that is divided. Mm.
Both sides.
His kingdom can never stand. Yes. So when you are talking, when I say first, the man that kept things for himself and deprived another before the creator is even the first thief.
Yes.
These are mysteries that we need to understand. Mm-hmm. Because one, if you did not keep something, he will not cause the other person to come and do that havoc. So the first havoc is you that kept those things and for yourself and deprive the other person who cannot understand this life. So when you see things become free, nobody owns anything. Nobody can collect things from you and go and sell. Who told you that somebody will carry gun to come and rob you?
Mm-hmm. That's why he said when we talk about unity, that we are looked at as being naive, being too simplistic. How do you put it? Simplistic. It's my tongue sometimes. Simplistic. We're trying to moralize it, romanticize it, philosophize, and all those kind of stuff.
Romances.
That's because what we have just described now is not something man sees how that
It's
sees
possible.
sees as being possible. Is unimaginable.
Yes.
But I keep having to say to somebody that because something is unimaginable does not mean it's impossible.
You see,
Yes.
it is not possible with men.
With men, it's
With
impossible.
men, it is impossible.
Possible.
So it being unimaginable, because you can't just seem to fathom how
That can be achieved.
men would just relate with themselves, agree with themselves with all their differences. You don't seem to see how it works. So that's why you are now saying that the kind of peace or unity you are talking about is not that of the graveyard,
Yes.
but that is how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
The kind of unity that nobody sees any issue with anybody. That is the kind of unity. So that's why it is unimaginable.
And until you are dead,
Yes.
that cannot achieve.
So that's why for him not to now this is me now like poking him. So for him now not to look like he's being naive as well. That's why he's saying that he's not talking about the unity of the grave, because that kind of unity, when you're talking about that kind of thing, it makes you look naive, especially when it relates to men. They're like, look at this guy. Do you understand how this world functions? Because it's unimaginable. So because it's unimaginable, and he doesn't want to look naive too. So he's saying that the kind of unity he's talking about is not the graveyard unity. But just as Brother Kufre has pointed out, that the only way we as men can get life is when we die.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the death that
It's not to the
involves, that's the death that is
Introduction of life.
involved to get that life, is not the death that takes a man to the grave, that he's buried beneath the ground. No, but it's the dying to the nature of man,
Yes.
dying to self, dying to sin. That's the only way you can achieve that life that is of God.
That is the grave of God. Yeah.
So let's hit play on the video so we can proceed.
They think we are moralizing, intellectualizing, philosophizing, romanticizing. No, we are not. And we do not talk about the unity of the grave. We are talking about a unity that is celebrated in diversity. And that is achievable and indeed desirable, because disunity is a lot more expensive. It makes Africa susceptible to manipulation. And there is no shortage of evidence to demonstrate that a disunited Africa has been.
He said that unity is costly. There's a way he put it.
No, he says disunity
Disunity
is costly.
is costly. And it can make
Makes
one
us
to...
susceptible
It
to
makes Africa susceptible to manipulation. But it's not just Africa, it's man. Because if you look at the way the system is running, is the disunity. What we see is that level of disunity that the spirit uses to clone his operation.
That is the word that brings me in, because it's not Africa. I'm not talking about Africa. If you listen to everything we are talking, it has
It's a man
nothing to
thing.
do with Africa. We are talking about man.
Yeah.
Wherever you born into. No, God doesn't know where you are. What God knows is that you are on my planet. You are on the world that I generated. You understand? I'm only coming to perfect you.
Yeah.
But you see, if you look at the reason why things happen to us today, we are being manipulated by the spirit
that's for sure.
of man. The spirit of the Lord is the spirit of man.
Yes.
So that disunity is the reason why the room is there for this manipulation. It's not about Africa. But before you see Africa as an extension, you need to understand that if the man is aligned with his God, manipulation will never come in.
Yes.
A man who comes to manipulate you is also manipulated. You know, these are the things we don't know.
So
when you
when-
say somebody is deceiving you, you think that the person that is deceiving you is wise. If the man is not deceived, he will not come to deceive you.
Yes.
A person that deceived you, you see the person as the person coming with the wrong spirit. Not so.
Yes.
So does the person have a right spirit before he come to deceive you? No. That means the person already been deceived by the wrong spirit.
It's the first one in line.
You see, this is what we need to understand. So every of the things we are talking about today is the reason why we go to denomination and clap and sing song, all in the name of following the life of God. Do you understand it?
Yes.
This is the life of God we are talking about.
Yes. So,
that life, we go to church, what we call church, even though that is not church. We go to have, we desire to have, we pray to God for a change. This is the life. So wherever you are, and you are living in this world, and your life is not according to what we are explaining here, which is not, then you need to understand that you need God.
Chachi, you wanted to say something?
So I wanted to still buttress the fact of this, the unity that we are talking about is not about Africa, but the whole world. Because the Africa that we said is a part of the continents that make the whole world. And if you will talk about unity in Africa, it's as if the other continents have unity. You understand? To see that these things cannot be achieved by just, taking one continent to look for how unity can be achieved. So because the Africa as a continent comes from another, it has another continent that makes the Africa. You understand? There are a lot of continents that make the world, which is Africa is part of it. So without this person that we are talking about that has to come and unite us, which the other continent, they don't also have unity. This cannot be achieved without God.
You are talking about African unity. Now, let me come in before you go there. You are talking about African unity or unity between whatever thing you are talking about. The man that is living in the house with the wife, is he united with the wife? That thing we call wife that we marry. Are we united? The man that is living in the household with people, the people he live with, are you united with them? When we talk this thing, we talk as if it's this big, when the people, the different state or whatever country, they come sit together. That's when the first unity you have is within yourself.
Yes.
You understand? Because I have gone to a place that I see, not just come from a place that I see a man or a household where a man is called a father. He has 2 or 3 children. Then he say he has a land, and this one, this younger one is kill the senior one, all in the name of land. You understand? You see them fight one another. Now, those kind of people now, they are the one that is going to sit in the summit and be talking about unity. Do you understand?
Yes.
These people now are the ones sitting in the summit that you are talking about unity. So what kind of unity can you achieve?
That's why
kind of
this part that this brief part that we just paused was to point out something. The cost of disunity, saying that disunity is costly, and it makes Africa susceptible to manipulation. But we have cancelled that Africa to now say it's not Africa but the world, that's man
At large.
It makes man susceptible to manipulation. And we have said that room that the spirit has created, that room of disunity that the spirit has created, is what he uses to operate.
Yes.
Because if that level of disunity, or if that his room of disunity wasn't created, then we won't be seeing what we are seeing. We will definitely just have the life of
peace,
God from the onset. But because that God is not there, so you can't establish unity with men when God is not there. So he has established us in disunity. So it's that level of disunity that he has used to carry out his operations. Yes. So when God comes in to establish his peace, which brings about unity, you get to see the difference between the two lives.
Yes.
So what we are pointing out is that the disunity or the costliness of disunity is not as a result of what the men did.
Yes.
But as
an already
designed program of the Spirit
Subject
that
us to
men
vanity.
will be subjected to live like this till God is made available in their midst to redeem them from the bondage of corruption.
Let's
Which was
read
how
something
it
in
was put.
Proverbs 16:7.
When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him.
So when a man's ways
Please the Lord.
please the Lord,
Yes.
he maketh even his own enemy
His enemies.
to be at peace
With him.
with him. You see, it's a very simple word. The enemy of man.
It's the nature that
It's not foul. That spirit that you have
As
will
your
fight
greatest
against you. That spirit that man carries is the one that is manipulating the man. Is the one that is using the man to manipulate another person. It's a standard, it's a system. Nobody can change it. The only way that it can be calm, that spirit can be calm, is when that voice of God is sounded to the man. And the man listen and do according to how that person of God instructs. That is what changed. That is what calmed the sea. That's what changed everything in the life of humans. So, the only thing we need right now in our world, this is not a time that we keep saying that this is not a time to point a finger at somebody. Because when you point one finger to somebody, remember,
four is pointing
therefore,
back at
is
you.
pointing at you.
I bet let's correct that impression. It's 3 that is pointing at you. Because I don't know how this one is going to point at someone. Because when I always hear them say 4 is pointing back at you, I keep my hand like this and I'm wondering. Actually, you're pointing 2 fingers at somebody, unless you are pointing
Whatever
like
means.
this.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That is because it's not about the finger.
Yes, it's just an expression.
What they are saying is that judge, you see, that is why he keeps saying that judge not, that ye be not judged. Because you are not the one that is qualified to correct things or correct the people.
Yes.
So live yourself the way you have been seeing yourself operate in the world. Operate like that. That's what the Spirit is saying.
Till I come.
Anybody you see, wherever the person finds himself functioning, don't condemn the person until I come. Because the final judgment is with me. I'm telling you, this life, if we are living it like that, you will never stay in your own apartment and somebody will stay in his apartment, have a bad thinking about you. But you see, that is because that first program was to make sure it destabilized man until the arrival of God.
Yes.
And this supremacy that we are waiting to see, or this supreme power capacity we are waiting to see, we are still going to see from somebody. We've said here before, which is what we are going to be hearing from the video now. You know, we men, we always like cure rather than prevention. The prevention says, don't do anything until I come to do something. But you, as man, because of the knowledge that you have, you went on. You begin to finger those things that you know that you are not given an insight on how to do.
Yes.
You finger it and you spoil it. Now, when the person who come to repair it is coming, you don't know that he's going to keep you aside. He will keep you aside and repair the thing. That's how it works. He can't tell you, join hand with me, let us repair it.
When you were the one that
Because you spoil it.
disfigure it.
That is what the world is facing today. And the only way the things can be repaired is for us to remove our hand completely. We keep talking about how people can sit down together and deliberate on issues to bring out a kind of peace that they look for. Remember, I said, peace I give you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Now, is this you that we are talking about here? The peace of that person is not the peace of the world. So, my point is this. Wherever anybody is watching us should understand that what we are saying here is that we as a people, we do not have a capacity to repair things when we spoil things. When we walk and spoil things, the one who repair things and put things into this perfect place is God. And the best way for us is, because this God must be in our midst, is to just see how we can find ourselves to him, for that mystery, and to be involved in our affairs and put things the way it's supposed to be. That's all I want to say, so that somebody watching us should understand that this moment we keep having here, we are letting the world to know that the time has come.
Yes.
That time that we say enough is enough. We keep saying enough is enough, and enough is enough is when we carry gun to fight one another. That's what we say. Enough is enough. We don't want this system again. So we carry gun and begin the fight another person. No, enough is enough means we as a people has been the one taking care of things, and things are not working. So enough is enough of we taking care of things. Let's allow the person who is given the capacity to take care of things.
To fix things.
Just like saying
us.
enough is enough. You carry guns and you fight. At the end of the day, the government you are fighting will call you into the closet and oil your mouth. But the purpose of the fight in the first place was because of the suffering of your people.
Yeah.
Yes.
The neglect of your people, maybe in the riverine area. That was your intent in the beginning. But you now ask yourself, so far in the fight, what has been the success of it? Are your people still suffering? Are they smiling? You fought so long, and at the end, you find out that the government will calm you down, settle you, but that will not stop your people from suffering. They will still suffer. That goes on to show that no matter how you say enough is enough, and you just like you said that you carry gun, you think, that is what you think as a man, because you are angry. A man who carries gun is not happy, and you cannot be unhappy and think that that solution that you want to bring to your people that got you angry in the first place, that your being angry will now bring peace to your people. It takes a man of peace to bring peace to his people. And it is only God that is that Prince of Peace. So that is, I celebrate because of that statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hit play. Let's hit play.
Manipulated, has been ravished. Unity is the magic bullet. Let's understand African unity. You know what happened in Addis Ababa in 1963 by the creation, or with the creation of the Organization of African Unity, is that the forces against unity were very strong. So the OAU was actually a weakened body, as some used to say, a toothless bulldog. And when African leaders meet in Sirte in Egypt, hosted by the late Muammar al-Gaddafi, they say OAU has had problems, but it cannot be denied that she has participated in ensuring that independence is regained, but it is not the body that we need going forward. The body that we need going forward is a much more powerful body, a body that is one that rekindles the spirit of unity. So in Sirte, the decision is made that that body must change its name. That is how the African Union is born. And then it is actually delivered in Durban in South Africa in the year 2002 with the intention of midwifing a process that will lead to African unity politically, economically, and otherwise. So the African Union is the body that is designed to achieve that. because it is a development by refinement from the Organization of African Unity. Has it done that? Has it achieved that? No. Is it too early to judge? Yes, it is. The struggle towards unity is one that is long and tortuous. And remember that even within the continent of Africa, there are people who do not desire unity. They want to be big sharks in small ponds. And I think that going forward, what we need to do is not to create new institutions, but to energize existing institutions by having them populated by Pan-Africanists. And I'm suggesting that one of the weaknesses of the African Union is that the individuals who have been given the honor and privilege of leading her have not done a good job. I think, of course, that Nkosazana and Lamini Zuma of South Africa tried to do a good job. The current holder, Muhammad Faki, has not been as enthusiastic as I would want him to be. But he does argue, and perhaps there is merit in that argument, that he does not have the necessary political support. But in a nutshell, I'm saying that the AU is the body that we must use. A bad workman and a bad workwoman, if you may, blames the tools. I'm not just about to say that the AU ought to be, the AU ought to be eliminated, but it ought to be strengthened for the sake of African unity.
I let the video run to that point because basically we have touched a lot of things as it relates to unity. But what made me ask the directors to pause is because he's sharing his view on what he thinks needs to be done to achieve unity, and still putting it in the hands of men, putting it in the hands of the leadership of men.
Yes.
He started by trying to describe how the OAU was formed, then the kind of work he did, how it wasn't working the way it was intended to work, then how it was rebranded the AU, that's the African Union, and how this and that, and as we will say, Bobo Tibo, but what he was just trying to say is that this institution is what has been established to help cultivate unity.
Yes.
And the reason it's not working the way it's supposed to work is because certain people who have been placed in that office of authority aren't doing what they are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Which is what I dispute, which is what we are disagreeing with. We are saying that men can't achieve unity.
There's nothing they can
And
do.
thinking that the leadership of men is how you can achieve unity still shows the level of darkness we as men are still operating with.
Yes.
Thinking that we can achieve something that is spiritually divine from men. That shows you the level of darkness that we are still operating with. That is basically why I paused that portion of the video, because you can now see that it now looks like there are people you can point a finger at as the problem, or the orchestrators of the problem, or those who are fueling the problem, because he has described that there are those who don't want unity, and it makes you wonder: are there people who don't want unity? Well,
such thing.
Well, who knows? Because as Barakufe tried to point out,
what we call unity.
As Barakufe tried to point out, that the primary issue we have is ownership. So if we as men are deeply rooted in our nature of ownership, and it seems like a kind of system would be established that would deprive us from that kind of pattern that we have always liked. Maybe that's how we can say somebody doesn't want unity. Yes. But I don't see how that works. So I'm not going to talk about that or go into that, because I don't really understand how there are people who can be against unity. Because remember, we talked about how anybody who goes into that office of power, for instance, the office of the president, is not going there to make things worse. He's not going there to make things bad. He goes there with the best of intentions, but he's unable to make things work because it's not given to man to make anything work.
Yes.
So it's his realization of the fact that he can't make anything work that makes him try to gather whatever he can gather in his time in that office for himself, because he has just realized that he can't do anything. And why he fights to stay in the office is because he has realized that no other person can do anything as well. So I might just as well stay here and reap all the benefits of this office than let someone else who isn't going to do anything, not because he doesn't want to do anything, but because I have seen that this office won't let you do anything. So I should as well stay here and fight to remain here. So when you talk about people not wanting unity, I don't see that as something that is
the intent of someone.
Yeah, I don't see it as the intention of somebody. So you shouldn't point a finger at someone, which is what I'm trying to lay out for anyone who is watching. That you can't point a finger at somebody, especially as it relates to how we as men have been made to function.
Yes.
It's a system of survival of the fittest.
That's all.
Because there are persons that are privileged to go into offices of power because of disunity.
Yeah.
It is created on purpose that nobody can fix it. And then he comes out and promises the people that if you will vote me, this problem now that is going on that is hard to solve, once you vote me in, it will be... And meanwhile, indirectly, he might have been one of the persons that fueled it in the first place.
Yes.
So you find out that when he enters there, he tries to solve it a little bit, and not because he's going for second tenure. So he said, if you want this to completely go, the second tenure, you make sure. So you see now that as long as some persons are using it for their personal interest, for their political interest and ambitions, you find out it will be hard for humans to eliminate it.
It's because it's not in our power. You can even tie it back to the statement he made earlier in the video that his disunity is costly.
Yes.
And it has made us susceptible to manipulation. So it's that level of disunity that still makes us feel like our help are in the hands of men. And that is what the Spirit also intends to happen. So it's still, as you say, it's still good because it has its own purpose. It's meant to fulfill. So, but in summary, what we are saying is that you shouldn't point a finger at anybody. That's what we should understand. If a finger should not be pointed at somebody for the cause of what we as men are facing.
If you even understand from the beginning of his, when he began the discussion, he talked about unity. If you understand that word that he used, that unity is the mother milk of the spiritual liberation. I think he said something like that.
Yes.
You see, you need to take unity from that point. If you take it from that point, you understand what we are talking about here. There is a spirit that is in man. And that spirit that is in man, both the male and female, never and would never work for the good of the man. You would never.
It wasn't designed to do so.
That is because the good is not with him. Good is with the one that is called God.
Yes.
So, the liberation that we are looking for is not... When do you think... You need to be liberated from that bondage that we keep talking about here. It's a bondage of corruption. Remember when we talk about corruption? That corruption is not a person. It's not somebody fighting this. Corruption is a personality. That personality is in everybody. So when you talk about the bondage of corruption, is what that spirit has put all of us into. So when you are talking about liberation, it's the same thing. You need to be liberated from something. Do you understand?
Yes.
So go around we are still saying the same thing. If you like, any topic that, just like you are trying to establish something now, leadership, you see that a man, an office is created because somebody needs to be in the office and administer things to people. That is who a leader is.
Yes.
He goes to administer things to people. I don't mean he's going to share food for people. To minister does not just mean to share food, but give a guide to a people to be able to know how to live a life. So now, when you have such a person, and you are calling this person the leader, the person is going there, and you are giving the person 4 years tenure. After 4 years, he's leading this in, don't expire, another person will come in. That is man. That is why the only person that is qualified to be a leader is the person of God in the midst of a people.
Yes.
His tenure never expire.
So eternity.
Someone should watch out for the next one that we are bringing, that leadership, because it's very important. Today we are fighting, we are quarreling, we are killing ourselves for an office that was not given to us. That office never gave. It's not an office for all of us. See, watch what happened to Israel when they were looking for a leader, and that leader was the one that they wanted, which is Saul. But remember, the Spirit asked the person that he knows that this is my beloved one. Why can't you wait until I bring this my beloved to you? But because we cannot wait, which is the reason why we keep running around how to monopolize things. Lack of waiting. So anywhere we go, we see come back to the same thing that we are saying here, that the only help we need
The builder.
is the person of God that will make things work for us. That is who a leader is. That is who that will bring peace. He's the peacemaker.
Yes.
He brings peace. That is because he's not coming to sit down and settle problem for you. That's why we say peace is not the absence of war. There is war there, but when there is peace, you see that even with the war, nobody can see any problem.
Peace.
When you talk about how people own things, do you know that the spirit of ownership is that spirit that kills? That spirit that kills, that war against each other. That spirit that say is my own. So when that spirit is removed from any man, I can tell you that is the only day that somebody will say, yes, it is well with my soul.
Yes.
But anyway, we can go on and on and on and on and on, and we might just end up not leaving this place.
Huh?
But let's hit the last few seconds of the video. Though we have already talked about what he means by graveyard peace. But let's just hit up the last few seconds of the video, so we can summarize and end up what we have.
A united Africa must be an Africa that is at peace with herself. And what do I mean peace? Do I mean peace that is the peace of the graveyard where everybody agrees with everybody else? No, I cannot possibly mean that.
We already talked about, we already tried to clear up what that statement was actually meant to. That's what that statement actually means, not the way he has said it, or not the way he intends it to
sound,
mean.
yes.
Yeah. So when he's talking about peace, that is he talking about a graveyard peace where everybody agrees with everybody. He says no, that's not what he means, and it makes you wonder what other kind of peace is there apart from the kind of peace where everybody agrees with everybody.
Another.
That's because you can tie it to the earlier statement he made about when you talk about unity, how you're perceived as being naive. That's because we cannot imagine unity the way we talk about it to actually work with men, amongst men. We can't imagine it. So anybody who tries to talk about it in a way that you try to talk about it and make it seem like it's actually achievable, you are looked at as being naive, because with men it's definitely not possible to achieve that level of unity.
There is something
So
that
that's why
I would
saying,
like us to, based on what he said, sorry for interjecting, but there's something that I would like us to briefly touch before, so that somebody listening can understand. There's this organization that he keep talking about, the OAU and the AU, because he just said it now, that is the AU is the one that he advised to be the one standing. All we need is to strengthen it. That is the only one that can now bring that peace, that unity that we desire for. You understand? But if somebody listen to everything we are saying here, we keep saying that it cannot work with men. Now, this is a body. What you call a body are people. People are involved. People are the one handling that. Not so.
Yes.
The body that we see the OAU to be or the AU to be are people in charge of those things.
Yes.
Whatever organization that you see, whatever summit that you have, there are people who are the ones sitting on that forum and deliberating.
Yes.
So if you understand this thing, you now see that when you are saying that the body that we need is not just ordinary body, it's a body that can kindle the spirit of unity.
Rekindle.
Rekindle the spirit of unity. I think it says something like that.
Yes.
So when you are talking about a body, it's not about the people, it's not about the sitting like this. It's about the people that are sitting there.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So the body now we are looking for is the same thing we are saying here.
Yes.
That's why I say go round. You see that everything still boils down to the things that we are saying.
Yes.
This body that you are sitting, that you are seeing sitting, supposed to be a body that has been kindled with that spirit of that divine spirit.
Yes.
When you have that spirit of that God, that divine spirit, you see that anywhere you go to, if they're like, let them tap you on when you are sleeping and you get up, it's the same function that you carry. You see? So the body that we need, that is a body that can kindle that spirit. You understand? That spirit of unity is a body that once you are subjected or submit to that person of God, he removed that state of man, that earthly vessel, to bring back that heavenly body, that body that has a consciousness that shows that nothing of self applies.
Yes.
You see? Yes. So I don't want to go far, but I'm bringing that because the thing just came into me now. I remember it when he was talking it. Yes. I put it down, but I just brought it back because I know that the OAU or the AU is set as a kind of forum that people sit down to deliberate on issues that already facing them. To say, no, if you have been living like this with this one, please, it's not good. Let's live like this. But you see that no matter how you please and pray and finish and go, somebody is there that you know that it doesn't need unity. From what you are saying, people are there that doesn't need unity. Why do you think people don't need unity? It's because if a war is cooking, somebody is benefiting from the war.
Yes.
And what do you benefit? Whatever resources that will be coming from there is what you benefit from. How do you expect such a person to agree with war?
Agree with peace.
That's with peace of that war to be eliminated.
Yes.
That means you are going to remove food from that person's mouth.
Yes.
You see, that is why it's not your work. It's the work of that person that we keep talking. And I am saying again and again that this is time for us to wake up. Whether we call ourselves Nigeria, whether we call ourselves Africa, and we believe that we are looking for unity of Africa. I'm not against that. Whether we are looking for unity in Africa, yes, it's good. But we are saying the unity that you have as a person coming from Africa will be a unity that when you have, the person from Europe will have it. The person from whatever country will have it.
Australia.
And anywhere we go to, we now live as one people
Under
that have one God that have one word.
Yes.
This is the things that the standard that the Son of Man come with. He said he's going to sit on the throne and judge the 12 tribes of Israel. This mine, I am of Paul, I am of Apollos. Today we are, if you are a Christian, you are not a brother to the one that are Muslim. If you are a Muslim, you are not a brother to the one that is from Hindu. But we have forgotten that we are a man that was generated by that spirit and put into the surface of the earth. So the spirit is, that God is not happy with all of us. Oh. We should wake up before he now stretch that his final hand and destroy all of us. So I don't want to be firing on Abek. Let me stop there.
So anyway, what I was saying earlier is something that we had already touched. That as much as the idea of unity seems unattainable with men, it's actually possible
With God.
with God.
Yes.
So I'd actually written out something I wanted to read as we would always say, not as a pattern, like a message for
All of us. Yes.
Yeah,
it's
for all
good.
of us. I'd actually written it out. So I'll just briefly read through it so we can end up what we had. And as it relates to the talk of unity in diversity.
Okay.
So it's from one of our write-ups on Western civilization.
Yeah.
So he says, the Spirit gave man one word, but man divided it into countries and carved out for themselves territories and boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes.
He produced man. Man is what the Spirit knows, the Spirit of the Lord.
Yeah.
But God, who he now introduces, sees men fragmented into religious sects,
Yeah.
be it Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, otherwise,
Yeah.
creating tribal sentiments within themselves. Talk more of ethnic complexities. We call it ethnic diversity, but if something is diversified, it forms the basis of a synergy for a united force that can achieve one purpose of unity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead, ethnic diversity has complicated human lives. This formula was introduced for a purpose, but human application went off the original program, and that is the reason they don't yield solution. All we as men need to do now is to search for the spiritual one, who is God amongst us, who is seeing better, who knows better, to direct and guide our affairs in order for us to attain this unity which we all are crying for. So the problem that we as men are experiencing today is not as the inefficiency, or rather is not as a result of the inefficiency of the men who have been put in place of power, just as the speaker in the video was trying to point to. No, but the issue that we are experiencing is as a result of the absence of that person of God who should direct and guide our affairs.
Yeah.
So I think that with all that has been said, that there is basically nothing more that we can add. That's at this moment. There's nothing else we can add to this topic of
Unity.
unity, because we can look at it from different angles. But in this moment, we have said all we can say. So we'll draw the curtains on today's episode. But as usual, if you have inquiries to make, you can send us an email via the addresses on your screen, and we'll be sure to get back to you. So we'll say bye for now till we come your way next time.